So hi, my name is Cortney Steeples. I'm one of the dietitians at Good Shepherd Diabetes and Nutrition Center. November is Diabetes Awareness Month, so we thought this would be a good time to share a few strategies to get through the holidays with diabetes. Kind of talking about different strategies to get us through these holidays without kind of derailing all the progress maybe we made leading up to it. So my name's Cortney. I work at the Good Shepherd Diabetes and Nutrition Center. We have other dietitians on our team. I've listed our educators here. Cassandra, Mara, and Ashton are also dietitians that work at the Diabetes and Nutrition Center, and we have a couple office assistants as well that help us, that are kind of our right hands, so helping us with scheduling and all those other kind of little to-dos. So kind of jumping right in, a couple of statistics just to kind of food for thought. With diabetes, we typically see about an average increase in A1C during the holiday season of about 0.19%. And again, the A1C is just a blood test of average blood sugar over 3 months. So not a huge increase, but an increase nonetheless. On average, Americans also gain about 1 to 2 pounds between Thanksgiving and New Year's. And this weight gain may not seem like much, but it is typically not reversed after the holiday season is over. So what we want to try to do is prevent these kind of little increases in maybe blood sugar and weight to prevent progression of diabetes and worsening insulin resistance. So prevention is going to be key. Some common struggles with diabetes and kind of this holiday season, typically, and maybe even outside of diabetes, I think these can be common struggles, but an abundance or large variety of like foods and desserts, maybe more so than we normally have on, the regular day-to-day. We kind of have this expectation to maybe overconsume. And also maybe we have some sweet aunts and grandmas in our lives that might be kind of food pushers in a way. So kind of trying to overcome some of those obstacles. And there is that tradition of also consuming larger than normal amounts of food and alcohol. So sometimes that can kind of lead us, not meet our goals maybe the way we want to. Feeling guilty for consuming unhealthy holiday foods can sometimes lead us a little discouraged by the time that New Year rolls around. A couple of things we'll talk about is first getting in the right mindset. I think this is really important to kind of heading into that holiday season. Keeping in mind the importance of what these holidays are all about. We should pay more attention and focus to the family and friends and fun, and less focus on maybe some of the foods and sweets and desserts. Something else we want to try to not get in that mindset of, oh, I'm gonna not eat anything until all day until Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner. Over restricting can just lead to overindulgence when that meal does come around. So we want to try to avoid this mindset. Getting adequate sleep, I think, is sometimes overlooked as well. Sleep deprivation can make it a little bit harder to manage blood sugar and intensify cravings and maybe cravings for those real comfort foods and high sugary type foods. So we will really want to try to aim to maintain our 7 to 8 hours of sleep to kind of help guard us against these cravings. The other thing to try to do is try to make a plan for the day. If you're unsure what's being served at this, meal or celebration, offer to bring something that would be good for you. So a non-starchy vegetable dish to share, or make recipe modifications to some other traditional holiday food or dessert that might be a little gentler on your blood sugar or overall health goals. Try to eat close to your usual meal times. So this kind of goes back to not over restricting before the big celebratory meal comes around. So eat your consistent usual meal times. Spread your carbohydrate intake throughout the day just like you would on any other day. So if you're, for example, sometimes those holiday or celebration meals could be served at odd times, like 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, for example. So if this is the case, that does kind of throw off our usual pattern. So if your meal's served, later or earlier than normal, try to plan on having, a good snack or something to kind of tie you over to avoid that intense hunger or getting too hungry before that meal and then maybe overindulging. Staying hydrated can help maintain, good appetite, and also, choosing beverages that are non-alcoholic to kind of keep in hand so you can kind of sip on those throughout the day, can help, to kind of keep our diabetes in under control and keep with avoid overeating. Keep moving. This one is a good one too. So, if we have a lot of family and friends around, this is a great time to just grab maybe a walking buddy for the day. And if, after a meal or before a meal, or if you're feeling a little restless, just grab someone and say, hey, do you want to just walk around the block with me real quick? Something like that can help reduce stress and then also can help lower blood sugar if it is running a little high that day. Also burns excess calories. These are some examples of recipe modifications that you could use if you do want to take like a traditional meal or dessert and just make it a little bit healthier or lower in carbohydrate. So for example, there's some good sugar substitutes in a lot of baked goods. You could substitute applesauce with sugar, maybe cut the sugar in half and add a little extra vanilla extract. Or flour, for example, alternating with like an almond flour can reduce the carbohydrate content quite a bit. Or using a whole grain flour that would boost the fiber would also help a little bit with blood sugar regulation. Another tip could be to add like nuts or nut butters or something like that to desserts to add flavor or texture, and also would boost the fiber and protein content a little bit too. The third tip would be to really just take charge of your meal. A couple tips that might help you with this could be following the My Plate method. The My Plate method, it just entails making about half of your plate non-starchy vegetables. So whether this is the green beans and the salad, items like that, and then just a quarter of your plate, limiting that to your starchy foods, so your potatoes, your breads, rice, pasta, things like that. And then the last quarter of the plate would be reserved for that protein, so turkey or chicken or whatever it is that you're having that day. Be mindful of portions. There's usually tons of variety of foods at these larger celebrations, and so we don't want to take large portions of each one and maybe really kind of deciding which ones you like the best and taking small portions of those. That kind of goes along with being selective. So fit in your favorites. If you know it's something you don't really care for, you don't have to take it just to be nice. Just take the foods that you really like, and just be kind of mindful of the portions of those. When you sit down to eat, a good strategy could be to start with your vegetables. So filling up on those non-starchy vegetables before you get to maybe some of the starchier foods can kind of help with our appetite and reducing the, carbohydrate intake. Eating slowly. Some strategies for this would be, taking a few bites of food, setting your silverware down before taking the next bite, or sipping on water in between bites. Those can help slow us down. Also, having conversation with family and friends can kind of slow us down a little bit as well. Stop when you're 80% full. So really listen to your stomach's signals and your listen to your body and what it's telling you. So a good place to stop eating is when you're about 80% full. So you're comfortably full, but you're not uncomfortable or in pain. And then again, don't be afraid to say no. If it's not something you want seconds of, or you just don't enjoy as much as maybe some other foods, just say, no, thank you. And that you're doing this for good reasons. So I think food pushers can sometimes creep up during these bigger holiday meals. Someone kind of peer pressuring you for just one more bite or one more slice of cake or whatever it may be. And a couple tips to kind of defer some of that. It would be, you could just be honest. Tell people, no, thank you. I'm trying to make lifestyle changes and I really want to continue making progress during this holiday season, so I'm going to pass. So I think a lot of people will just respect the honesty. You can blame it on your doctor or dietitian. We don't care. You can say that we told you not to do it, and we're totally fine with that. And I think most people understand that if it's doctor or dietitian, recommended, then there's probably good reason for it. If you need to stall and save it for later, that can also be a good strategy. So no, thank you. I'm full right now, but maybe I'll come back to it later. And then, if you do or don't, that's up to you. Divert and deflect. This kind of goes along with stalling, I think, in a way. An example would be like, oh, that pie was really good. Do you have the recipe for it so I can make it at home instead of having, like another piece right now? Or just say no, thank you. You don't have to have a reason to say no, thank you. You're full or you don't want to have that item. That's okay too. What about alcohol? This is a common question, and particularly with alcohol and diabetes, we do want to avoid drinking on an empty stomach. You want to check your blood sugar while drinking as well as after. Avoid drinking alone. Choose alcoholic beverages that are lower in carbohydrates. So the ones that are a little bit higher in carbohydrates might be like your beers or mixed drinks or malt beverages. They might be made with a little bit more sugar. And ones that would be lower in carbohydrate would be wine and hard liquors. They do have less sugar content in them. Anyone taking insulin or might be on some other diabetes medications, these individuals are at a greater risk for low blood sugar, and this is typically a delayed low blood sugar, so that's why it's important to continue to check your blood sugar throughout the day to make sure it's not going too low, and drinking with food, with your meal or with a snack can also help prevent some of these risks for low blood sugar. Managing leftovers. This can be kind of a hard one. There's usually leftovers of abundance at these larger celebrations. So, really make sure that you maybe send them with family and friends that don't maybe need to watch the same kind of health concerns that you are. So disperse leftovers among families and friends. Limit the leftovers of sweets and desserts to just a couple servings. So for example, maybe if you just take home 1 or 2 slices of pie rather than the remainder of an entire pie, can help with that too. Get creative with some of your leftovers. The picture here is a good example of some leftover like cranberry sauce and maybe some leftover turkey, and they made it into a pretty good sandwich with whole grain bread and some avocado and spinach. So that could be a good use of some of your leftovers. You can also prepare like pre-portioned freezer meals. So if you know kind of what portions you need to stick to, putting those into some containers, putting those in the freezer. So if you're having a really busy day, don't have time to cook, you have a meal that's already prepared and portioned out for you. You can just heat up easily. Use leftover foods as ingredients for other foods. So this sandwich was kind of a good example. Sometimes, it's popular to use like the leftover turkey to make like turkey and noodles or something the next day. So kind of getting creative with those. Getting back on track. So once kind of this holiday season kind of blows over, You know, maybe we kind of overindulged more than we wanted to. Getting back on track, you know, the first thing is, you know, really don't feel guilty. You know, you want to enjoy the foods that come around just once a year and that time with your family and friends. So don't dwell on it too much. Remember that each holiday is just one day also. So maybe 1 or 2 days kind of clumped together. So try to avoid overindulging. You know, the days in between those holidays, there's a whole month, for example, between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So it's always good to try to do your regular day to day in that month between, and then when those special days roll around, you know, you kind of relax a little bit, and that can kind of help free up, I think, some of the guilt as well. If you know you're doing managing your blood sugar and your diabetes very well in between those days. Don't discount your emotional and mental well-being. You know, holidays can be very stressful. They can often bring upon feelings of stress and depression. And so this can really impact, you know, physical health, blood sugar, motivation, all those things. So really kind of make sure you take time for yourself, whether it's exercising more, trying to get better sleep, avoiding, you know, maybe alcohol or other like sugary foods and things to kind of keep your mood in check.